Inner child work is not about going to the past, dredging up old memories. Inner child work is truly about connecting to a part of your psyche that is always present, always available. How does it metaphorically want to show up for you so that you can understand a part of your unconscious energy that is affecting your current everyday life? If you're new here, my name is Layla Taylor. I'm an intuitive healer, mentor, and guide, and I work with people every single day in connecting into their intuition, their psychic abilities, channeling their spirit guides in connection to connecting to the body, doing the shadow and inner child work that creates the perfect container and vessel through which your soul can lead and guide your life. And so when I speak to people in connecting into their inner child, when I'm in session or mentorship, a lot of times have people say, I didn't really have anything bad happen to me. My parents weren't abusive. I really got everything I wanted. Mom wasn't around or dad had a drinking problem. But compared to a lot of other people and a lot of other stories, I don't really feel like I have those. And so they count themselves out of inner child work. And I think we've gotten it a little backwards here because inner child connection does not denote that there was some egregious action that happened to you and that we have to go back in time and drudge that up and you poor thing and your parents were horrible. And it's not about judging your parents. Inner child work is understanding that there is a part of you that is this creative spark, that is this ability to just have wonder and excitement and follow your natural instinct before you were told that that wasn't a good thing to do. Isn't the safest thing. And when I mean safe, I don't mean that you're getting abused. The inner child, I want you to think of it like this. It's the aspect of us that follows its impulse. Think of it like a young child. When they want to paint something, they paint something. It doesn't matter what kind of sofa they're going to paint on. They feel an impulse to create. These aspects of us are always available. They're a part of our psyche. When we're adults and we're looking for this sense of purpose, this sense of drive, this sense of creativity, sense of expression of life, what we look to is the inner child. Again, this isn't some part of us that is hiding under the bed because mom is angry. That's a version of inner child work, but that's not literally how I teach people how to work with the inner child. And it's not how my guides have taught me. What I really do is I utilize metaphor, symbolism to interact with the inner child. Why? Because a lot of us have lost our sense of creativity, our sense of I create because I desire to let my will be shown. I have a thought of I want to create something, it'd be so cool, and I actually execute it. I allow what comes through, maybe an idea of a song, and I sing it. What a lot of people are doing nowadays is they're receiving downloads, they're receiving information, they're listening to podcasts, reading books, they're getting all this information, and they're also getting all these drop-ins of oh, I should do this. I should make this kind of session. I should do this. But then they don't do it. They don't follow through on their desires. Why? Because they're worried about being judged. They're worried that they're not good enough. They're worried about being shamed. They're worried that if they put their time into it, it's not going to go to anything. Your inner child does not work like that. The inner child is the one who says, I feel, I create, I desire, therefore I do. And so many of us have learned to pull back on our sense of creativity in the fear of ourselves. We judge ourselves are going to think about us. And so when we do inner child work, what we do is we create the form of the inner child at a certain age, and we ask symbolically, how are you showing up? So if I was to bring up my inner child and she was showing herself hiding in the corner, peeking around the corner, feeling kind of afraid and shy, I know that how I'm interacting with my sense of creativity, my sense of expression, my sense of joy is pull it back. I don't quite feel safe in it. Oh, interesting. Why don't I feel safe in that? That's where we would interact with the inner child of, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid that people will judge me. I want you to understand that when the inner child is saying that symbolically back, that's because the form of you inside, you have a self-limiting belief or a programmed belief, a coding that feels as though it's not safe to be seen by other people for some reason. Usually it's you're afraid that people are going to see a version of you that you don't desire to see yourself. It's not that you really don't desire people to see you. You're afraid they're going to see something else that you don't desire to see within yourself, and you couldn't handle that because you haven't brought that into your awareness. What we utilize inner child work to do, shadow work to do, again, isn't to go save some version of you where mom got you all the American Girl dolls, but maybe sometimes she slept in on Saturdays. Like, that isn't it. That's a pretty darn good life. I don't know, but I wanted the American Girl dolls. I never got one. Felicity and Samantha were my favorites. Felicity first. But anyway, so I digress. Okay, so it's not about that. What we're doing is we're creating the form of the child to allow the mirror back of how do I interact with my own form of creativity, my own form of inner joy, my own form of I allow my will to be put out into this earth. Okay. That's why a lot of people will feel as though they're overwhelmed with energy. Like, I'm anxious, I overthink, I have OCD, I have autoimmune issues. There's a lot of different reasons that are really like patho reasons. There's like physical reasons. But if we look at the energetic reason, it's because you're absorbing information, you're absorbing thought, you're bringing it in, but you're not having equal amount of action aligned to the things that you're bringing in. Okay. You're feeling inspired and you swallow it. It goes into the pit of your stomach. And then you wonder why things aren't working out for you. You're not taking action on anything that you feel called to because all of your shame. And so that is why when people ask me, Layla, I want to know, can I do this work, this spiritual work, as a profession, as a business? What I always tell people, and most everyone I work with is very intuitive and psychic, so it's yes. But my real question to you is, are you willing to do the work that's required to learn how to build a business? Are you willing to be rejected? Are you willing to constantly be of service and not give up because people aren't validating you? Are you willing to put the time, the effort, the years into it that it may take for you to get some traction? Are you willing to be a beginner? Are you willing for people to say, I don't really understand what you do or why you do what you do? Are you willing to face the fact that at first that might not be how you make your money, how you support yourself? You might have to build it for years alongside, or it could be really quick. It's never, do you have the abilities? We're all psychic and intuitive, and we can all develop that. It's, do you have the will, the action, the creativity, and the flow to continue to build even in uncertainty? That is that childlike state of I feel, therefore I do, but it requires the responsible adult version of us as well. Of I got to create structure. Okay, I have this desire. Am I adult enough? And I don't mean that in a condescending way, because in a lot of ways I have realized that I have been like a child through many things in my life of, if I don't get the validation that I'm good, then I retreat backwards. And so there's a part of us that needs to become responsible to ourselves, that need to become a safe haven for our own spirit. Meaning, I really encourage other people for majority of my life. You're so good. You're so great. You can do anything. But when it came to me, I was like, I threw dirt on my name all of the time. Okay. And I would want validation. But then when people validated me, it felt gross. And I was like, no, don't say anything nice about me. Right. Because I couldn't see it within myself. And so what we have to learn when we are desiring to be more connected to these inner aspects of us, we're wanting to build a life that feels purposeful, and that can show up in so many different ways. It doesn't need to be that you're just like an intuitive who gives readings. Like, that's just one aspect. But when you want to feel like life is purposeful, you need to allow yourself to follow your greatest joy, your greatest feeling of excitement in that moment, and also have enough structure and responsibility and that adult version of yourself to carry it through. It's all about balance. If you're just in that childlike inner joy kind of state, you're going to be so like random and all over the place that nothing has that sticking power. You need that groundedness. You need that sense of structure if you're really wanting to create something of substance. And also sometimes people are way too in the structure of, I got to build this all out and I got to have a 5-year plan. And they have no ability for that spirit, that energy of childlike joy to move through them, because that can't be quantified. It can't be understood, but structure can. And so that's why it's about balance. Can you have both and know that at one moment you might be more in the sense of my creativity and your structure might be lower, and then more another season of your life, you might pull more structure in. Okay. And so it's this constant flowing of balance. But again, the inner child is only a mirror back onto you, that aspect of your sense of channeling, your sense of creativity, your sense of flow state, and how you are unconsciously or consciously interacting with that version of you. I hope that something about this clicked. Okay. And I'm going to give you another example. When I used to do readings, when I was first starting off, I would get so freaking sick. I'd be so scared. I'd be like, okay, all the other sessions, the hundreds I've done, they've said good things. Okay. What if this time it goes bad? What if this time I find out and they find out maybe I'm a complete freaking fraud, right? That's the fear that goes through your mind. If you've ever like practiced readings, you're like, maybe I have been making it all up and maybe I'm crazy, right? That's what you think at first. And I remember my guide saying like, this gets to be fun. So that's why I tell clients all the time now, stop. Let's remember this gets to be fun. But also that when I make this all about me and my fear state, and I don't check in with my body, I don't check in with the inner parts of me that feel uncomfortable first. I work from ego and I work out of the sense of desperation and validation rather than a sense of I'm a divine channel that is just channeling intuitive information for people around me. Okay. And so what I had to learn to do is I would bring up my inner child before sessions and I would see how she was looking. A lot of times my inner child liked to do this, peer around the corner of like a doorway, and it would be all dark back there. She's like, oh, I'm nervous. Is this part of me? Like, is there a child within me that's like that? Not really. But what I want you to understand is this metaphor. It's symbolism. It's how the soul speaks. It's how the feminine expresses itself. It's intuitive symbolism. And sometimes we take it too literally. Honestly, that's what happens a lot of times with a lot of people with a lot of things. And I could do a lot of different lectures on that. But let me be clear. The reason why she shows up that way is because my inner state doesn't quite feel safe in just expressing myself. And so that's where I've learned how to ask the right kind of questions, how to validate that experience within myself, how to offer compassion and grace, and then offer something different by becoming the adult that my child version of me needs. Again, this is not about our parents. A lot of people do healing where it is connected to their parents, because our parents, no matter how many American Girl dolls they got us or how many vacations they took us to, or whatever the fact that dad was home, there is still unconscious programming and hurt that is passed on. And that's not anyone's fault. It's just, to say it lightly, it is what it is. It's welcome to human life, right? Like, welcome to the world. Shake my hand. You're involved. You're a part of it. You're doing it to other people as well. And so there is times where we have to reflect of, where did I learn this from? Oh, I learned this from mom. Okay. No judgment to her. This is the best she knew how to do. And this is what that taught me. Now I'm doing something different. This is going into a deeper level of inner child work that is required to go. You are required to go deeper in your healing when you're asking for higher and higher levels of initiation. Each level that I have gone to, from moving, God, like I have literally became a different person, a different version of Layla than even 2 years ago. Well, really even a year ago, but definitely 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, definitely 15 years ago. To get to this version of me, I've had to go even deeper into the depth. And so there's deeper inner child work. There's deeper shadow work. There's deeper recoding that needs to happen. And we open our arms to that, because whenever we're being initiated into those deeper versions, it's because something bigger is wanting to come in. I used to hear that over and over, and I'm like, I don't really understand what that means. And now through living it, it's like, it is a law to me, is that the higher you want to go, the more you want in life, the bigger responsibility, the bigger mission, the bigger, you're putting yourself of service, the deeper and deeper you're going to need to go into the own well of your own existence. And we're going to need to bring up the mirrors of inner child and shadow to be able to understand that. Do you see? Their versions, they respond back to us to help us understand, almost as though you are dreaming while still awake. You're creating metaphor, you're creating symbolism to understand that which is unable for you to access it. That's why I really teach people to connect into their intuition and spirit guides in a way to start asking questions to understand themselves with more clarity, because you'll actually be able to connect into that which is ununderstandable in the human conscious awareness, in just connecting to your guides, in just connecting to your intuition, in connecting to your body, your inner child, the shadow, in connecting to those aspects of us, okay? They have medicine for you. They have a wisdom for you. And learning how to become curious about who you are and why you're showing up in certain ways will allow you to understand yourself more authentically and really show up more lovingly. And so I hope this helped with understanding a little bit of how the inner child can be viewed differently, how we can view shadow work differently, how we can view symbolism and metaphor differently. If you're interested in learning how to do this for yourself, you want me to blend and merge with your own energetic field, connect into your shadow, your inner child, your spirit guides, and or teach you how to do the same. Look into connecting with me in a one-on-one mentorship container or a spirit connector session. All information will be down below. Until next time, stop trying to be spiritual.